Shalom, is Levi Shore. Welcome back to Sweet and Good Torah. We are blessed to have Rabbi Mordechai Dorovish with us today. We're talking about Mashiach. We're talking about the rebellion that's just breaking out everywhere. Rebel without a cause. We're talking about the worship of youth. We're going to jump right in here. Let me bring the Gemara up, and then we will dive right into Sanhedrin. Incredible stuff about Mashiach. So we see here, Tanya was taught in a brisa. So Rabbi Nehorai Omer, Dor ben Sheben David Bo, Na'arim Yalbino Pnei Zekeni. So the generation, so Rabbi Nehorai, he said the generation that Ben David, Mashiach ben David, the Mashiach that's descended from King David, that he's going to come, the young men, they're going to whiten the faces of the elders, those wise in Torah, and there's going to be no respect for the elders, for those wise in wisdom. The Uzakenim Ya'amdu Lifnei Na'arim. And then the elders are even going to stand up for the youth, for the young men. Ubas kama be'ama. And then the daughter is going to stand up against her mother. The kala bechamasa, bechamosa. Sorry, sorry for. And the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. Upenei ador kifne kalev. And we talked about this one before. So you can check out our Torah class we gave before on the face of the generation. The generation is like the face of a dog. The ein haben misyavesh me'aviv, and the son's not going to be embarrassed by the father. There's so much to talk about here. Do you want to start this off, or do you want
me for sure. Yeah, for sure. I mean, like this new generation has the elders are worshiping their kids. And what's going on is that nobody gives true discipline to their kids anymore. The Torah says, "Yad small docha v'yad yamin mekarevet." Like your left hand should push the kid away, and your right one should bring them close. You need to have a balance of both. And it seems like nowadays people don't want to discipline their kids; they just want to give them good. Okay, they just want to give them good, but they don't want to push them away because they think like the kids will run away or they won't be their friends or whatever it is. And that's causing the parents to worship the kids, and the kids, being worshipped, they become monsters. Now they actually become monsters, tyrants, if you will, to their parents, and they have no respect to their parents. The way some of these kids talk to their parents, it's like, I mean, if we did that, I don't know if we'd be alive. We would have got smacked from here to Arkansas. But and I'm not talking about abuse. I'm talking about just like an actual, a disciplinary action, and that seems to be out the window. And so the kids are running the asylum nowadays, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean I worked 10 years in Hollywood in the film industry in Los Angeles, and what I see more and more, like the media, advertising, the music industry, everything's geared to like the teenage market. Like everything's younger and younger. There's movies all about like young teenage characters or college age characters, or even younger. There's shows like even younger. There's so many shows now and movies and books, all for like teens and kids, and everything's geared. It's like everything's Disney World now. It's like the whole world's become like Disney World, and there's this worship of youth. I mean, at some point. I remember when I was a kid, like we still had respect for our parents, for grandparents. Like in school, I went to public school, and it was it wasn't, at least where I went, it wasn't craziness. I mean, there was respect in the classroom for the teachers, and it seems like I hear what you're saying about like people don't want to punish as much, but I think even when parents do try to like rebuke the kids or say this is wrong, it just rolls off. It just rolls off, and like they talk right back. And then I think, I don't know exactly when it was, maybe the 70s, 60s, like people started, instead of like calling someone mother or father, it became calling them by their first name, like, oh, Bill or Nancy, not mom or dad anymore. It's just like, and you're just right. There's such a worship of youth, like, just through advertising, through the movies, through the media, through just the young pop stars and the young actors and actresses. And right, there's just this worship of youth, and there's not that respect for the older generations or wisdom, or I don't know. I mean,
right. And then what happens is, if you don't respect the older generation and their wisdom, you don't learn from them, and you try to learn anew the world for yourself. And then you come up with crazy theories that are tried and true to not work. And you leave theories that have worked. And the things that got you here to where you're at, you deny them, and you start worshiping things of the past that were really bad for humanity, really bad for the individual, and all the different philosophies that were really messed up. You just throw them out, and let alone the actual godliness and actual Torah, even values and that were founded on Judaic principles are out the window now, because everybody's feeling like they have to go with the new age stuff,
Right.
to
Yeah,
keep
and
up
that's a
with the
yeah,
trends.
yeah. Right. And that's a great point. And new age, I mean, new age is just like, it's a new marketing of the ancient, like Kishuf, the ancient sorcery and occultism. And but it's right. It's like, what's the new fad? What's the new thing? It's like, can't be Torah. Torah is ancient. That can't be relevant. It's got to be the newest scientific theory, even if unproven. The newest this, newest that. I mean, science is interesting because science is becoming closer and closer to revealing like the truth of the Torah. Like they are breaking forward. And but even science, there's not even a respect for science anymore like there used to be. Like, like physicists used to be revered in like the 50s, with the nuclear age. And right, there's not even respect. I don't think there's respect for perfect. Even in the secular world, it's all breaking down. I mean, even Constitution, but in the Torah world, it's breaking down some. And it's like when it's always the new, then the great wisdom, the infinite wisdom that we got from Hashem, the Torah, then it's like people are, it's hard for them.
There's that dumb girl, I could barely speak. I don't know, her name's Greta Thunberg, and like people, the whole world's like paying attention to what this dyslexic, barely could put two sentences together girl is saying about like climate change and like issues, that adults should be taking care of. The whole world's like, oh, what is she saying today? And that's like the latest. I mean,
I feel bad. I feel bad for her in some ways, because right, I do feel like maybe she is dyslexic or something. Like she has something going on. But it's like it's amazing. Like the UN is just like the United Nations just gathered around her. Like, please tell us how to fix the world. You're 15. You've got it all figured out, or however old she is. It's like it's crazy. I mean, one of my greatest symbols of all this, I think, is Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I mean, I don't know, to put it nicely, I don't think she's acquired much wisdom in her life.
but she was a bartender.
She went from bartender. Yeah, she went from bartender to congresswoman. And I think, what's a shame, like there used to be this thing of the elder statesman. There used to be a thing of a public servant that had a long career and acquired a lot of wisdom and political knowledge throughout the whole career, and then could speak, in moderation to political issues, could bring both sides together. And here it's like there's just like this unbalanced media attention on her and her pals, who by the way, I think they're all anti-Semites. I mean, it's a shame that everyone can't see it. It baffles me that people can't see it, but she's not the brightest bulb. And yet there's so much media attention, and she's literally selling communism. And it's like, and I don't know if she's old enough like us in Gen X to even remember the Cold War or the end of the Cold War and how bad the Soviet Union is. But I almost feel like we're coming from capitalism, one of the most wealthiest, the American empire, and they're trying to sell communism to the American people. And it's madness. It's mad. It's just mad.
So they tear down what they know to be true, right, in order to come up with some crazy philosophy of the false. And that's what it means. Like, if you don't have somebody above you, right, you can't understand that your parents above you, and you can't understand the idea that man has someone or something above them, and that's the idea of God. And we're like kids that are not bashful in front of our Creator, who's our Father in heaven, right? Like we have no embarrassment to say the wrong thing, to do the wrong thing, and that's what people feel. Who's this? They have this relative moralism, right? With everything is relative, and they want to be the ones that are correct. And what's going on is that it's replacing godliness. It's replacing the objective morality and the objective good. And that's where we're headed down right now. Sure.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll go on to the next brisa. So it says Tanya teaches in a brisa. So Rebbe Nehemiah Omer, So Dor Sheben David Ba Bo Azus Tirbe. So he says that like in the generation that the son of David, the son of King David, Mashiach ben David, there's going to be like this insolence that's going to increase. People are going to be very gaividic, they're going to be arrogant, they're going to have chutzpah, v'hayoker ya'aves, and the cost of living is going to it's going to be expensive, and it's going to corrupt people. So it's going to be so expensive. Everyone has so many bills, so many taxes, so much expense. And you have to have designer this, designer that, gourmet food. Everything's so expensive. You need 5K, you need 5G, you need 4K, 5G, you need the latest computer, the latest this, the latest car, the latest. So everything is so expensive. And chas v'shalom, sometimes people will turn to corruption, to criminality, to just pay the bills. And we're going to talk about all these more in detail. V'hagefen yisein pirio, v'hayayin v'yoker, and there's going to be plentiful, grapes on the vine, but the wine's going to be super expensive. Let's see. I don't have the nakudos here, so I'm going to have to go look here with the nakudos. V'nechpecha kol hamalchus laminos. And then this is a huge one here. V'nechpecha, and the government's going to turn to heresy, to apikorsism, to blasphemy. So Morava, so my cross. So what's this pasuk here? So kulo, yeah, no one's gonna rebuke them. There's gonna be no rebuke. So Mikra, what's this pasuk here in Vayikra in Leviticus that it says kulo hefech leben takorhu? That's like everything is like all of it's turned white and it's pure. That means it's like when a matzora, when someone has saras, the spiritual skin disease described in the Torah. We don't have it right now because we don't have the Beis Hamikdash, because the level of Kedusha and Tahara is not high enough. But when we have a Beis Hamikdash, B'ezrat Hashem soon, there is this thing called saras, and if someone speaks lashon hara, if someone speaks badly about someone, they can get this saras. But there's this interesting mystical thing about it, is that when someone's completely gone, when the saras completely covers their body, then they're tahor, they're spiritually pure now. They have the pure spiritual energy, because it's so bad that it's just it turns, for some reason, it turns to tahara. It's this very mystical concept. And it's saying the generation is going to be so corrupted, the government's so corrupted, it's almost all just turned white now with saras. So, and then people are going to look at it like it's tahor. So we'll talk about it some. Any comments you want to jump on right away, or?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I can't argue with the Gemara that says, people will become arrogant, and brazen-faced and say whatever. You see the, YouTube sensations or whatever it is, people who, once upon a time you had to study, you had to become something, and then you could give people advice. Everybody's coming out there and they're the latest guru, they're the latest person to give advice. What do we say? We said that wine, there'll be a lot of wine, and it'll still cost a lot of money, right? Yeah, because people are, there's a high increased demand for wine. And what's going on? People are getting drunk. They're trying to drown away their sorrows and their problems. And then it says that the people in charge, the malchut, the kingships, the rulers, they will turn to minut. Minut means there's no God, right? They will believe in secularism and no godliness. And that's what we see. People are trying to, everybody's screaming, they got the best idea. They got the right thing, the magic potion to do whatever it is. And no one's screaming God, 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 except for the Muslims, the Arabs, who are screaming Allahu Akbar, God is great. But that's the trend in the world. The trend in the world is to move away from godliness and into the strength of my hand got me all my riches and got me all my things. And yeah, there's an insane drive to materialism. One of the translations I saw, that the face of generation is like the face of the dog, and it says this in the Zohar, is that the dog is never satisfied. The more you put food in front of him, he'll keep eating, right? The same thing with generation. They'll never be satisfied. They want more. They want more. Millionaires want even more. It's never enough. And that's that we see that, sadly. It's never enough for people. And so they'll come to deceit. They'll come to lie, rob, steal, and even kill for that extra, a little bit of extra.
Yeah, let me bring it. There's some great in the Art Scroll Gemara here on Sanhedrin. There's some great foreshadowing. Let me just bring a couple of these in, and it's really interesting. You really hit a lot of these. So it's like people will not respect one another. The most honored people will be corrupt, according to Rashi. And then he says, "Hayoker ya'aves," honor will corrupt. The people that are in the most powerful positions, they'll become corrupt. So the Yad Ramah, he says, "Hayakar ye'uvas," that the honored one will be abused. Those who should be honored will be scorned instead. Like there's no respect for the great Torah scholars. You don't see them, in the news programs. You don't see people talking about them. The great Gedolim. So this is an interesting one. So grapes will not yield their normal amount of juice. So although grapes will be abundant, wine will be scarce. That's according to Rashi. So drunkenness will be so rampant that even a plentiful supply of wine will not satisfy the demand. That's Rashi and the Yad Ramah. And we definitely see with the alcohol abuse, the drug abuse, the opioid crisis. I mean, just it's horrible. The world's dominant power will be drawn after the false beliefs of the heretics. That's the Melecha Shlomo, and it will propagate the heresy, the Tiferes Yisrael. The wave of heresy, the atheism, has a beneficial aspect. Now, this is interesting. If people no longer remain entrenched in their ancestral beliefs, they will be open to the Mashiach's call to turn back to Hashem, to turn back to God. That's the Yeshua's Mashicho Iyun. And then the Rambam, he comments on Chilkos Malachim about this. And then no one's going to be able to rebuke anyone else because everyone's going to be doing Averis Chas v'Shalom. And there's a famous thing where someone's going to get rebuked. It says, "You're not better than I am." You see this in politics. Like one politician says, "You're corrupt." And they're like, "Oh, no, but you're corrupt because you do this." And it's back and forth. Here, let me bring up something interesting here. Let me, I think we can talk about this too. Let me bring this up. This is the back of the dollar bill, the Great Seal. And I want to talk about this a little bit. So it's very fascinating. So here we see, like, "In God we trust." But here is where we talk about the atheism and the enlightenment, which the world's been under for the last hundreds of years. And here, all of a sudden, we have something that doesn't seem like "In God we trust." We have the illuminated eye, the Illuminati, the Freemasons, all that stuff, those secret societies. And it says, "Anut capitis novus order secularum." So my Latin's not great. I think it means something like announcing the birth of a new order. And I believe this is something like secular power. I know sometimes they define a new order for the ages, but I think it's something like secular power. So it's interesting. Oh, "In God we trust," but it seems like it's not so "In God we trust," because we're really talking about this new order. And you hear sometimes people talking about the New World Order, but it's definitely this wave of atheism, the complete denial of Hashem that the world's been under for this hundreds of years of this enlightenment. And so you got this battle in America. Got some people that believe in God, and some people that just been so brainwashed by the atheism and and it's so sad. It's like to not see Hashem, to not see the infinite creator and the miracles we have every day, and not see Hashem and the world he created. It's such a shame right now what people are what they're seeing. Yeah, I mean, there's so much to talk about. I mean, wine, I remember back in a former life, before I went to Yeshiva at Eshet Torah, I worked in a wine store in Beverly Hills, and there was you had your very good vintages and your first class wines, your first cru wines, the good Bordeaux's, and there was new wines. There was new California wine. I mean, there's one wine called Screaming Eagle, and it was $1,000 for a brand new bottle. That was unheard of. I mean, some of your older vintages of the best wines would be a couple thousand, but a brand new wine for $1,000, and that was my gosh, that was 20 years ago, from now. Who knows, crazy prices and everything now. Yeah, we see the massive inflation and the government. Yeah, it's just total atheism. They're literally pushing communism now. I mean, it's nuts.
I think we should mention to the audience that I took the antagonistic view that Mashiach's close, and you took the protagonist view, right? That Mashiach is coming, he's close, right?
Yeah.
So when we read these, right, we got to know who's on which side. Okay. I still maintain it's not close, even though right now the Gemara is showing signs that it is close. Okay.
I mean, I think this is we are so there. I don't know. I mean, you got. I mean, what do you think? I mean, do you think when you read these, you don't feel like we're pretty close?
Yeah, for sure. The last couple of lines are definitely there. The question is, how long will it last before the coming? Right, before things change. How long will it? Is enough's enough?
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because like I really, I mean, we talked about this last time, I think, in the generation has the face of the dog. If people want to check that video out. But like I was really thinking like Hashem put Biden into power because like there's too much, the Jewish people have too much amuna in the Democrats, maybe like liberal political groups around the world. And we just, for somehow we got so attached to those groups, and people that are more, distant from Torah don't know the Torah as much in the public school system. And this past week or so, I really started to see a shaking in this amuna, that even Democrats are beginning to say, wow, we don't really feel like the country's on the right track. And there's this like election in Virginia. I don't know what's going to happen tonight, but there seems to be a real backlash starting of like, this is not right. This is not what we signed up for here. It's like.
Right. So, like when this whole business of this latest, fake Cocoa Puff virus came out, I always, people were saying, let's run out of here. Let's go to a safer haven, like maybe Israel and the sorts. And I said, no, something in America with Americans and their Judeo-Christian principles will cause them to not give in as quickly. Not give in as quickly into secularism. I've been up north for the majority of my life, and recently I've come down south. And down south of America is very much religious. There's churches everywhere. They may not be, the top of the line, observant in their religiosity, but they have a strong belief and they have a strong sense for freedom. That my rights come from God, they don't come from man. Okay, and we developed a system where that ideology should flourish, and there's a backlash now against people that are trying to take away that ideology. So yeah. And that would honestly would be the Democrats, right, who believe in more of a secularist view of society and all that has to offer. So I'm kind of like I would say a little bit proud of America and where they will stand up more than any other place on earth for these values.
Yeah, I see. I think a lot of Jewish people just like I grew up Democrat. Did you grow up like a Democrat? I grew up.
Yeah, I didn't know what to think, but everybody in school's like, yeah, we're Democrats. Yeah, they're the good guys. I'm like, oh, okay.
I grew up in Baltimore and Maryland. It's very liberal, but I got to tell you, I think people are there. I think most of the Jews and probably a lot of people that vote Democrat. I think they're there because in the past, the Democrats are appealing, to the better nature of people. There's kindness in people. Like, oh, we should help these people. We should do that. And I think they're seducing people by appealing to their better nature. I think all politicians do it. But now it's so strange because I see it as it's getting so destructive and so hateful, and it's getting away from just the common thing that everyone wants. Is people want a family, they want kids, they want to have a nice neighborhood to live in, they want nice schools for their children to go to, and they want to see their children do well, and they want and that that's what people want. I think generally everyone around the world is what they're looking for, and everyone's aspiring to this and working for it. But to push this communism into America, it's one thing when it's you had the tyranny of the czars in Russia.
They're trying to build a perfect system.
Yeah, you were taking peasants. You were taking peasants who were so downtrodden by these, these corrupt monarchs. And okay, that then communism seemed right, but to sell it to a very stable, powerful American empire, it's also strange to me. One thing you touched briefly on COVID, and I got to tell you something. I become very apolitical in the last. I just got so burnt out. I don't love this, what you're saying. I don't love what I see on the left of this political party morphing into this strange religion. It is bizarre. It's they're giving morality and they're giving this and that. And it's all this, and they're trying to create tension and racism. But I do feel a lot of people that are there. I feel like they're there because in the past, you had people like John F. Kennedy, Harry S. Truman. You had people that stood for like that common blue collar guy. There was a time that they fought for, you know what I mean? It wasn't always like this. This is radically different from where it was.
The root is anti-God. The root is secular. The root is I can think of a system better than the godly system.
Right.
Okay?
I think
everybody wants to be right. The Democrats, the Republicans, everybody wants to be right. Everybody's pounding their chest that they're the right people. And they're, they got the right ideology. The ones that have God on their side, right? And their basis is with God. They're the ones who are going to be correct. The ones who seem correct and seem like they're very humanistic and they're really caring, you cannot be, because you don't know the correct path to take. Okay, if you're the Gemara tells us, if you're kind to cruel people, you will end up being cruel to kind people. Okay, because you misplaced your goodness. You don't know how to be good. Okay, but your goodwill wants to be good, but if you use your own brain and you use humanity is constantly evolving, constantly new things are coming out. You're not going to hit the mark, and they're trying to hit the mark, but they're way off base.
Right. So I think like underneath it all is this battle of like, a distance from Hashem, a distance from the infinite creator, and then people trying to get themselves closer, to Hashem, closer to God. And then there's a lack of clarity exactly how to do that, because the Torah isn't right now. We don't have Mashiach. The Torah is not like broadcast to the world right now. So it's very, it's very hidden. One thing I think you touched on this briefly. One thing I noticed, I think is very interesting. On Pesach, on Passover, when we read the Haggadah, we call the plague a dever, the plague, illness, like sickness in people. And the Midrashim say that for all 10 plagues, there was this dever, there was this sickness, this plague. And the Haggadah calls it the Yad Chazaka, the strong hand of Hashem. That plague and disease, it's clear that this is coming from Hashem. And I think we're starting to see this so massively, besides the political bickering, because it's interesting, because now we've had the vaccines out for a while. You can argue this, that, mask, not mask, all that stuff. But I think what Hashem's really showing is it doesn't matter if someone has a vaccine or doesn't have a vaccine, wearing a mask, not wearing a mask, both groups get it. Both groups get it. It's not one or the other. And Hashem is clearly showing it's the Yad Chazaka, that this is not going to be this political group or that political group. This is coming from Hashem. This is coming from an infinite being. And he's not waiting there to see if you got a vaccine or afraid to get a vaccine or wore a mask. He wants to see you being nice to everyone. Look, like, let's talk about it. The two protections that the Gemara tells us in Ichves de Mashiach, and I'll keep saying this: learning Torah, doing the mitzvahs, and being kind to other people. And that's our only protection. Someone can get 50 vaccines, wear 50 masks at a time. And if you're being mean to someone else, if you're being mean to other people or cruel to other people, or and just so far away from the Torah mitzvah, I hate to say it, but that person is not going to be protected. But that person that may be scared to get a vaccine or doesn't want to wear a mask, but he's kind to other people and he cares about other people, that person probably going to be very okay. But it's like the goalposts. It's like, that's why the government, it's all minos. It's not the word of the Torah. It's not not the Torah's Chaim, not the instructions for living. It's their false directions, false signs, like going in, false direction.
Yeah. Dr. Simone Gold is one of the doctors I heard speak in person, and she said we have so much in common with the fundamental Christians down south, that they believe in God when it comes to this and all sicknesses. And if a person really wants to learn the Torah and really live with belief, the Gemara says there's 903 ways that a person can die. Okay, and all are brought on by God, right? So God gives sickness, God heals, God gives death, God gives life, and we've gone away from that, and so we bicker over like stupid things. We bigger, oh yeah, you got it, no, you didn't get it. It's like a game of tag. Yeah, he got it, no, he didn't get it. He's it, he's not it. right? This one, if I do this, then I won't get it. If I do this, then I will get it. Like you forgot God. He decides who gets what, when they get what, how they
Yeah.
get what. And there was once a rabbi I was standing next to, and another rabbi came over, and he's like, "You see that guy over there? I made him religious." So the rabbi I was sitting next to says, "God has many agents."
Yeah.
Basically tell him, God,
Yeah.
God wants to make something in this
Yeah. No,
world. He has many ways to get
he
it
used you.
accomplished.
Yeah. He used you to play a part, but
Exactly.
no, it's right.
Exactly.
It's that like, it's what we said. It's that, like, it's the arrogance. It's like and we see it too. Everyone feels like my way is the right way. There can't be any other way, but there can be many ways. If it's
Right.
the way of truth, there's 70 facets of the Torah. If we're not twisting the Torah, we're not bending the Torah, we're not making it something it's not. But there are many facets. Like we see, the machlokas of Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai, and they're both true. Both these are the words of the living Torah. Both these, are the living God. So, but it's right. But it's like the truth versus the lies. And it's like, and I think you're right. Like underneath this all, underneath all the political bickering and the lack of respect for elders, and it's the disconnection from Hashem. It's the disconnection from the Torah, the lack of knowledge, the light, the clarity of the Torah is missing from the world right now. And it's like darkness right now. And we're waiting for Mashiach. We're waiting for us Melech, this king in Israel, to start teaching the world Torah, where all of a sudden the media is going to be talking about the Torah Mashiach talked about that day. Not
Right.
like whatever nonsense or
Yeah.
craziness like we're hearing every day on the news,
The Gemara says the stadiums they once watched the circuses and the gladiators. They'll watch the lectures of Torah.
So it's gonna be a Super Bowl of Torah, the World Series of Torah. We're gonna. I think that's pretty good. I just, if you guys, I should say at the beginning, but if you enjoy it, please like, share, subscribe, and please ask us any Torah questions you have. I think we should leave it here for right now, and then we'll continue on next time. And any final words?
No, I just maintain we're not close, and you're still on the side that we are close.
Okay, B'ezrat Hashem, we're getting close. Okay, we'll talk again soon.